DevinJetho, known for editing style that look like a real piece of art. Modern, precise text, clean UI animation that grab attention, and major animations that bring the entire video into the next level. But if you're just getting started, it can feel overwhelming. Where do you even begin? Today you are going to learn that step by step, just like pros. Now here is the thing, anyone can teach you how to make animation like Jatho, but not everyone will teach you what really goes behind it. The small details, the precision and the techniques that make it look truly professional. In this video I'm going to teach you 2 animation and break down the 4 key elements that create the DevinJetho editing style. Background, how to use green screen and AI to transform your studio into anything you want, which will end into text, covering the simple text and the complex gradient and depth text. Next we have the attention-grabbing UI animations, small animation that draw the viewer's eye, and finally major animations, the big artistic movement that make the video shine. The first animation is more creatively and playful, and the second one is clean, precise and high professional. If the first one isn't really your style, you can skip to the second, but I strongly recommend watching both, because together they will teach you everything you need to edit like DevinJetho. All the project files and assets are available in the video description, and also I added a music pack preference for DevinJetho shorts. Now that you have the full picture of what DevinJetho editing style look like, let's dive into the first path and see how it's all come together, starting with the background. Many people assume you need a big budget to make your content look professional. Devin teaches us all it takes is a small investment and the right tools. Let's start by creating a new composition. Set the wide to 1080 and the height to 9020. Then drag the video you want to work with into the composition. In this case, my partner simply filled himself with a green screen, and what we want to do is replacing the background with a style similar to DevinJetho background. So start by removing the background. I want you to double click on the video. This will open the layer panel. Use the roto brush tool to mark the subject. I noticed that it selected the background behind the hand. We want to remove that part, so hold Alt and paint over the area you want to subtract. It's very important to go over him carefully and make sure only the parts you want are highlighted in purple. Finally click the freeze button so it will process all the frames and create a mask for the subject. While this is loading, I just want to say that we are working really hard to give you the best content possible, so please show me love with a like, and if you get stuck at any point, just comment below, we always respond. Okay, so once you're done, go back to the comp, and that's it. We separated the subject from the background. Now go to DevinJetho Instagram, choose one of his videos, and take screenshot where you can see his background. Then go to ChatGPT and upload the image. I wrote a script that tells it to create an image of only the background behind Devin. The script will be in the video description. And here it's create a perfect background image for you, so download it to the computer. Back to After Effects, increase the scale of the video to 150% and position the subject in the center of the lower part of the frame. Then drag the background you created into the comp below the subject layer. And let's start building the background. The image is small, so scale it up until it covers the whole screen. We want to blur the background a bit, so search for Gaussian blur effect, apply it to the background and increase the blurriness to 10. Also add a curves effect, pull the curve slightly down and to the side. It should look like this. Great, we finished the first part. See, it's simple, and we're just getting started. Wait until you see the next 3 phases, they are going to blow your mind. Let's move on to part 2, the text. Devin's text comes into 2 types, the standard text and the highlight text. The standard text is the white with a stubble gradient and a soft shadow behind it. The highlight text used the same effect but with a colorful gradient and added a light sweep for more streaking look. Now add a text layer and type turn one idea. I want you to use the font Tactic Sans X, which is of course linked in the video description. Move the text below his face, center the anchor point, increase the text size to 225%, lower the contrast property, and compress the text slightly. Right click on the text layer and add a drop shadow effect. Right click again and this time add inner shadow. Go to drop shadow settings and increase the size to 16 and the opacity to 100%. Then go to the inner shadow setting and lower the opacity to 20%. Duplicate the text layer and move the duplicated text below the first one. Change the duplicated text into 7 hooks, arrange the text layers, and change the font style of the bottom text to ultra italic. Our bottom text will serve as a standard text and our top text will serve as a highlight text. Add a gradient ramp effect to the bottom text. Place the start point at the bottom center of the text and the end point at the top center of the text. Finally, change the start color to a light gray. Add a glow effect to the text as well, increase the glow threshold to 80% and increase the glow radius to 280. Copy the glow and the gradient ramp effects and paste them onto the second text layer. Move the start ramp and the end ramp so they are positioned below and above the second text. Change the end color to red and set the start color to darker shade of red. Move to the first half second and create a scale keyframe for the background layer. Also create a scale and position keyframes for the video layer at the same point. Go to the start of the layer, scale the subject down to 120% and lower it slightly so it's fully visible and not cut off. Slightly scale down the background as well. Select all the keyframes and open the graph editor. Stretch them and create a sharp entrance. Move to the first second and create a position keyframes for both text layers. Go back to the start of the layers, move the bottom text to the left until it leaves the comps, and move the top text to the right until it leaves the comp too. Open the graph editor for those keyframes and create a fast entrance. It should look like this. Add the CC light sweep effect to the top text layer. Place the center point on the text. In the settings, set the edge intensity to 0, sweep intensity to 100, and wide to 250. Move to the last keyframes, move the center point to the end of the text, and create a center keyframe. Move slightly backward, place the anchor point at the start of the layer, and move the center keyframe to the beginning. Open the graph editor and create a fast entrance. It should look like this. Looks amazing, right? Just before 2 seconds mark, create start color and end color keyframes for the bottom text. For the second text layer at the same second, also create a start and end color keyframes. Now we'll switch the two text types, so our top text will serve as a standard text and our bottom text will serve as a highlight text. Move 2 frames forward. For the red text, change the start color to gray and the end color to white. For the second text, change the end color to dark purple and the start color to bluish gray. Go back to the top text, copy the CC light sweep effect, move to the first keyframes and paste the CC light sweep effect onto the bottom text layer. Move the center point to the start of the bottom text, go to the last keyframe and move the center point to the end of the bottom text. Move to the moment where the effect is visible, set the wide to 150 and reduce the sweep intensity to 50. This looks so nice. Alright, and with that we finish part 2. Now let's move on to part 3. Attention grabbing UI animation, where I will teach you the selector animation that Devin used in his shorts. Go back to the first ramp keyframes. We want to change the color of the background behind the character so it matches the animation color. Add a change to color effect to the background layer. In the settings, sample the red part of the background for the form color and create a 2 keyframe. Move to the last color keyframes and change the 2 color to purple so it matches the text and the animation. This will change the color like this. Change the number from the bottom text to 6, since it will be easier to divide the animation into 6 slices. In just a moment you will understand what I meant. Use the screenshot I took from Devin's animation. With the ellipse tool, create a circle matching the size of the circle behind it. Use the size settings to make sure the circle fits the purple slice. Move slightly forward to the moment where the number 6 appears. Use the pen tool to create a shape according exactly to the template. Make sure to go corner by corner and verify alignment. Hold Alt while moving the line. Add a fill with the purple color. Center the anchor point. And in the settings, delete the ellipse. The circle helps us to set the anchor point, which is the center of the circle. Later, when we duplicate and rotate the slice, it will create a circle. Duplicate the layer, remove the fill, and add a stroke of 2 pixels in white. For the purple slice layer, right-click and add an inner shadow. In the settings, increase the size to 30 and reduce the opacity to 50%. Add a glow effect to the same layer and increase the radius to 600. Add CC light sweep effect, place the center point in the center of the circle, set the wide to 120, reduce the sweep intensity to 10 and increase the edge's thickness to 6. Move the light sweep layer above the glow. Duplicate the purple slice layer. To keep things organized, change the color of the main purple slice layer to red. On the layer below, remove all the effects and add the CC light brush effect. Place the center point at the center of the circle and increase the red layer to 135. Reduce the opacity of the layer to 50% and change the fill color to a slightly darker purple. Select both slice layers and parent them to the red main slice layer. Move slightly forward to the moment where the slice 7 appears. Increase the rotation of the main slice until the slice is positioned correctly in front. Turn off the visibility of the other slice layers. Using the text tool, write 6, scale it up to 200% and position it above the 7. End the text box and write relate. Then press enter and write to viewer. Move the text slightly sideways so it's centered. Center the anchor point and scale the text down to 60%. Select both text layers you created and parent them to the red main purple slice layer. Turn the visibility back on for the slice layers. Add glow effect to the number 6 and increase the radius to 100. Add glow to the second text and increase the radius to 130. Copy the inner shadow from the purple slice layer and paste it onto the slice layer with a white stroke. Select all the layers that make up the purple slice, duplicate them, and move the duplicate layer upward. For the red layer that all the other layers are parent to, increase the rotation to 60 degrees, which will rotate them to the right and position them at the next slice next to it. Duplicate the layers again, and this time add 60 degrees to the rotation of the duplicated red layer. Repeat this process 3 more times until the entire circle is filled with 6 slices. After arranging the slices around the circle, go through all the numbers and change them into ascending order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now change the sentence below the number. The sentences will be in the video description. Make sure each sentence is aligned under its number. Once done, delete Devin's template video and pre-compose all the layers that make up the wheel. Move the wheel layer below the character and the text. Move slightly forward, just after 2-second mark, enter the wheel comp and delete the layers of the first slice after this point. Select the layers that make up the second slice and delete the portion of the layer before the second. Move 4 frames forward and trim the remaining parts of the layers. Select the layers of the third slice, delete the portion before, move 4 frames forward and delete the parts after. Repeat this process for all the other slices, leaving 4 frames for each slice layers. Finally copy the first layers, paste them on top, and position them after the layers of slice 5. Return to the main comp, move to the moment when the slice 5 appears on the screen, and create a scale keyframe. Go back to the moment slice 6 appears and scale it down to 0%. Open Graph Editor and create a sharp entrance. Go back to the last keyframe and slightly increase it to 110%. Enter the comp, copy all the layers, return to the main comp, paste them, and pre-compose them again. Enter the new comp, select the layers of the top slice, stretch them to the end, and repeat this process for all layers so they cover the entire screen. Back in the main comp, copy the scale keyframes from the second comp, return to the first keyframes, and paste them onto the new comp. Move the new comp layer below the original and reduce its opacity to 15%. And with that we finish the first animation. And that's complete part 3, which brings us to the final part. The most advanced, the most challenging, but also the most beautiful and absolutely worth it. Part 4, major animations. Once you know how to create it, you will be several steps ahead of most editors out there. This animation will make anyone watching this video stop and say, how on earth did you do that? Start by right-clicking and selecting a new composition. Set the composition size to match the previous video, 1080 by 9020. Add the 3D hologram scan to the comp. Make sure to click Make Comp Size and then press OK, so it will scale properly to the comp. In the settings, increase the X rotation to 54 degrees, move the Y rotation left to minus 240 degrees, and slightly increase the Z rotation. Increase the scale to 175% and position it at this point. Add the 3D paper to the comp, again click Make Comp Size, scale it down to 40%, and position it above the scanner so it's centered in the scanner. At frame 7, create a position keyframe for the paper ball, move 3 frames forward and raise the ball slightly. Move another 3 frames forward, copy and paste the first keyframes and move the ball slightly to the side. Move 3 frames forward again and raise the ball slightly less than the previous increase. Move 3 more frames forward, copy and paste the previous keyframe again and position the ball slightly lower. Go back to the start of the layer and move the ball to the top right outside the comp. Select all the keyframes, open the graph editor and create easy ease for them. This will create a bouncing effect like this. Now we want to create the light coming from the device. Zoom in slightly and use the ellipse tool, create a white circle that's slightly smaller than the hole, position it exactly above the hole and center the anchor point. Add the CC light brush effect to the shape, place the center point of the effect at the center of the circle, click set color and change the color to red. To enhance it, add a glow effect and increase the radius to 30. Duplicate the layer, and for the duplicate layer, change the light brush color to reddish white. Parent the duplicate layer to the original layer, slightly scale up the red layer so the circle fits the hole perfectly. This way we created the light point and we want to create one for each hole. Duplicate both layers and move the layers to control the second hole. Since the light remains in the previous position, fix it by centering the center point of the light brush on both circles. Duplicate the circle again, repeat the process and move them to the last hole. Make sure each one positioned precisely above the hole. Move slightly forward to the first half second. For the first circle there, create scale and opacity keyframes. Move 2 frames forward and set both to 0%. Move another 2 frames forward and copy and paste the first keyframes. Go back to the first keyframes, copy only the opacity keyframes and paste them onto the layer parent to it. Copy all the keyframes, move 2 frames forward and paste them onto the second ball. Again, copy the opacity keyframes and paste them onto the layer parent to it. Repeat the same process for the last ball. This should look like this. Select all the layers that make up the circles and pre-compose them. Turn the new comp into 3D Since making them 3D, they disappear behind the scanner. Use the position to raise them back up and place them in their current positions. Note that it scales up slightly, so reduce the scale to 85%. Let's move on to create the red scanning light. Using the pen tool, create a red line with a stroke of 7 at the bottom of the device following the template. In the stroke setting, change the line cap to round cap. Add glow effect to the layer, set the threshold to 0% and increase the radius to 23. Duplicate the layer. For the duplicated layer, change the stroke color to white, reduce the stroke width to 5 pixels and lower the glow radius slightly to 11. Duplicate the original layer again, move it above and add a CC light brush effect. Move the effects layer above the glow, place the center point slightly below the line, increase the ray length to 87 and reduce the layer opacity to 50%. Select all the layers that make up the red light and pre-compose them. Turn the comp into 3D. Since making it 3D causes the layer to be behind the device, raise it using Z position, slightly scale it down, and move the light forward to its original position. Move back to the moment when the dots start blinking, and the moment trim the layer and delete the part before. Create position, scale and X rotation keyframes. Move half a second forward, move the red line to the end of the scanner, and position it at the end. Make sure to rotate and slightly scale it to fit. Open Graph Editor and apply Easy Ease to the keyframes. Move back one frame and create opacity keyframe. Move 3 frames forward and set it to 0%. Next, right-click and add a one-node camera. Move to the start of the light layer. In the camera position, move slightly forward and center the device on the screen. Create position keyframe. Go to the start of the layer and adjust the Z position backward. Open Graph Editor and create a sharp entrance. Go back to the last position keyframe, right-click and add a new null. Parent the camera to the null and make it 3D. In the position of the null, open the expression panel by holding Alt and click on the stopwatch. Paste the code that provided in the video description. This creates an elastic movement that gradually settles as the paper ball hits the scanner. It looks really nice. Move forward 1 second and create a position, X rotation and Z rotation keyframe for the null. Move half second forward, rotate the null until the scanner is straight, zoom in slightly and center the device. Open the Graph Editor and apply Easy Ease. Go back to the first keyframes and create a position keyframe for the paper ball layer. Move slightly forward and replace the ball behind the scanner. Set its opacity to 0% and create a keyframe. Move slightly backward and increase to 100%. Go back to the first keyframes, since the glowing dots don't rotate precisely with the scanner. Create position, X rotation, Y rotation and Z rotation keyframes for the layer. Move to the last keyframes of the null, rotate them and place them exactly over the hole as before. Open the Graph Editor and apply Easy Ease. Now we'll create the glowing purple rectangles. Drag the Devin's animation video into the comp to use as a template. Using the shape tool, create a rectangle exactly following the template. In the setting, increase the roundness to 5, duplicate the rectangle, disable stroke and add a fill. Add Devin's image to the comp, scale it down, position it above the rectangle and parent it to duplicate the rectangle using the trackmate. Place the stroke layer above the image and reduce the stroke width to 2 pixels. Duplicate the layer with a fill, move it above the image layer, restore its visibility and add a gradient ramp effect. Set the start ramp in the center and the end ramp in the corner. Change the ramp shape to radial ramp, change the end color to purple and set the layer blend mode to screen. Add a text box and write 1. Move it to the center of the rectangle and center its anchor point. Scale it down to 80%, add a glow effect and increase the radius to 30. Add a 4 color gradient effect to the stroke layer. Position all the color points at the corner of the rectangle, change color 1 to purple, sample the same color for color 4, and set color 3 and color 2 to white. Add glow effect and increase the glow radius to 15. Duplicate the layer, delete the glow, add a CC light brush effect, and position the center point in the middle. Select all the layers that make up the rectangle except for the first layer and parent the layers to it. Delete the image used as a template. Center the anchor point of the original layer, scale it 120% and position it at this point. Select all layers, duplicate them and move them upward. Move the layer that controls the other layers to the right and position it approximately here. Duplicate all the layers again. Move the new rectangle downward, duplicate again, move it downward and to the right, so the rectangle are arranged 2 by 2. For all layers with a CC light brush effect, position the center points in the center between the rectangles. Finally, go through each layer 1 by 1 and change the numbers sequentially. 2, 3, 4. Select all the layers and pre-compose them. Move to the last keyframe of the ball. In the rectangle comp, scale it down to 0% and create the keyframes. move slightly forward, scale it up to 110%, open the graph editor and create a sharp entrance. Right click and add a new solid, then right click again and add adjustment layer, select both layers and scale them up to 500%. Move those layers to the very bottom. Add the tint effect to the adjustment layer and change black 2 to red. Add glow effect and increase the radius to 200. Add Gaussian blur and increase the blurriness to 20. Create a circle mask on the adjustment layer for this area and add additional mask for those points. Go through all the masks and increase the mask feather. For the first 2 masks, set it around 100. For the next 2, set it around 200. Lower the layer opacity to 50%. Duplicate the adjustment layer. In the duplicate layer, change the tint to white and reduce the size of all the masks. Right click and add a point light with a red light color. Open the position of the light and move it to the top left corner. You can copy the parameters directly from me. Duplicate the light layer and change the color to brighter red. Move the duplicated light to the top left corner. Again, you can copy the parameters directly. Right click and create a new light. Change the type to ambient. Set the color to white. Lower the intensity to 85% and click OK. Now I want to create the color change animation from the red to purple. Go back to the first keyframes of the null. Create a map black keyframe on the first adjustment layer. Move forward to the last keyframes and change the color to purple. Go back to the first keyframes, enter the comp of the glowing dots, and for each dot create a light brush color keyframe. Move forward to the last keyframes, go back into the comp, and change the color of each graph to purple. In the main comp, go back to the first keyframes and create opacity keyframe for the glowing dots comp. Move forward to the last keyframes and lower the opacity to 50%. Go back to the first keyframes. For the first light, create a color keyframes in the settings and create one for the layer above as well. Move to the last keyframes and change both color to purple hue. Turn the 3 bottom layers into 3D. Using the shape tool, create a rectangle covering the scanner screen. Add a CC light brush effect and position the center point at the center of the rectangle. Add the set color and change the color to bluish purple. Increase the ray length to 100 and lower the layer opacity to 50%. Move the layer below the comp of the rectangles and the light. Finally parent the purple rectangle to the rectangle's comp. And done! And that's it for today's tutorial. Today we learned the new effects and techniques, how to create impressive animation and how to edit text professionally. If you learned something new and want to see more tutorials like this, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out the next video. Do you have a question or effects you want us to cover? Write them in the comments. See you in the next video.